I've got the answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, to everything that ails you. Now step right up.
One who acts like a doctor about his salves and remedies. The cruel practice of making money on people's worries feared throughout the years as quackery.
I said cure of backache, nervousness,
Any number of diseases.
Well, cheers.
Well, cheers, and welcome back to another episode of Quackery. We have a very special guest star here with us today, all the way from your favorite podcast, Talk Murder to Me.
Thank you.
Second favorite podcast after Quackery.
Obviously.
We got Nicole coming at you.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
You were saying all the way. I mean, this is her house. It's like all the way from the living room.
We record in New York City. What are you talking about? This is Will the Pill, and we always, as always, is John over there. Okay, today we are talking about cocaine as medicine. As a lot of things in the history of, America and the world, we've used a lot of crazy shit as medicine before we realized how bad it was, and sometimes we still do now. We are drinking Allagash White, and right here we will play...
Can I see the bottle?
Allagash is a brewery out of Portland, Maine. They do a lot of, they're an American brewery, but they do a lot of Belgian-style beers very well. Allagash White is a 5.2% Belgian wit, or white ale as it's called. Short of Blue Moon, this is, Blue Moon, in a sense, kind of keeps the lights on for this beer, they've said. If without Blue Moon, they wouldn't be doing nearly as well. But that being said, Allagash White, I think, is a better version of Blue Moon. A lot of people put an orange or a lemon slice in their beer. This one doesn't need it. The citrus notes really come through. It's just a delicious beer.
One of my favorite beers of all time is...
Stella.
No, I wasn't going to say Stella. It's actually called Triple Caramelite, and it is a Belgian beer. It's a similar, citrusy beer. We bought it once. They sell it at, Whole Foods in the big bottles. And it is so good and double the alcohol content. So you guys should explore some of that next time.
Yeah, it's funny on the side. It says, Rouse your yeast.
Did y'all do that with
this? Which,
this?
Used to be called something different back when we were in high school.
Did y'all, swirl it?
I did, but there wasn't much left. But it says to swirl it and then slowly, or pour it slowly, save the last inch, swirl it, and pour it in. I didn't do that. I didn't read. I'm bad at reading directions. Did you know on shampoo, it says you're supposed to rinse and then repeat?
You're supposed to shampoo your hair twice?
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's a great business plan. Then you'll use more, right?
It's true.
It says on there, rinse and repeat. That's where that came from. Fun fact.
I don't
Anyway, I picked this one for cocaine because of the white and because the label, the path kind of looks like a nice line of cocaine just kind of swirling through the forest.
A nice line of cocaine.
I mean, I could...
What? I've only seen nice lines of cocaine.
All right. So y'all tell me, just a short little bit about what you know as far as what about cocaine do you know, and especially when it pertains to medicine.
Well, I've done it once in my car in the parking lot at the Flying Saucer, actually.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So my buddy, which I'm not going to say, he's the one that broke my cocaine
Coke cherry.
Yeah, Coke cherry.
Cherry Coke.
So we were drinking and we were going to Tin Roof, Flying Saucer, all these places. And a little bit about the lifestyle I used to live in with my buddy. He was, pretty rich. So we would, just do down shots of Jack all day long. We would show up to a bar, it'd be 2 shots of Jack, boom, and a Jack and Coke. We'd be totally hammered. Anyway, it was 8:30 and we were totally hammered sitting in my car, and we were going to continue drinking until 2 a.m, and I just could not do it. And he was like, here, try some of this. And he poured it right on the center console. And I snorted it with, I think it was $100 bill because he had one.
Sweet.
And he rolled it up just like in the movies.
Because a dollar bill with cocaine is just not classy.
No,
dude, maybe it was a 20, but I don't know. Anyway, I used it and I did feel it. It did wake me up, but I didn't get high, you know. But
wow.
Anyway,
I didn't know we were going to get a personal story. I just meant as far as thank you though.
that's my sorry.
I have not done cocaine.
That's my one story.
Okay, well, I don't know if this is true or false, but wasn't cocaine in the original Coca-Cola recipe?
Oh, I'm going to save that.
Okay.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
That's fun though. Okay, so that was some fun.
But otherwise, I don't really know much
a lot?
about
Okay,
like
cool.
it as a medical use.
Yeah. Okay, so what is cocaine? So it's also known as coke. It's a stimulant, obviously. So that's why, I tried to jack John up after he got, house deep.
It brings you out of the dumps. A lot of
it's
people use it
Jameson.
when they're already really drunk, and they use it to bring them back up.
Yeah, so you can keep partying.
Yeah.
That becomes very dangerous. But okay, so as a drug, it's commonly snorted, inhaled, smoked, inhaled as smoke, dissolved and injected right into your veins. I guess that's freebasing.
Well, how much of that is crack, though?
I think when you smoke it, that's crack cocaine.
Yeah.
So mental effects are loss of contact with reality, intense feeling of happiness, agitation, increased heart rate, sweating, large pupils. What's funny? At first I read that as large penis, and I was like, wait a minute.
What an
Go back
excellent
and
side
edit
effect.
the male enhancement episode. High blood pressure, increased body temperature, and they can, depending on how you take it, within seconds to minutes of use, and then last between 5 and 90 minutes. So it's fast.
Yeah, it is
Oh
fast.
wow! I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was
we
hits you
talk
pretty
about
quick.
amphetamines, like it's very similar how it works to amphetamines, and mainly the reason why it's so abused more. It's just fast. You just go faster, kind of like meth versus amphetamines or cocaine versus amphetamines. Hey, where does it come from? Now, this one is from a plant, John. Coca is one of the oldest, most potent and dangerous forms of stimulants that are natural. So 3,000 years before the birth of Christ, ancient Incas were chewing this stuff in the Andes, getting their hearts racing. They said they think it was because like they were so high up, like they had trouble breathing because of the altitude.
Oh,
so they
cool.
chew it to help with that. But that was just
Did they chew it as like an appetite suppressant too? Do you know?
I don't know if a long time ago people needed appetites. Well, I
Okay.
guess maybe if they were starving and then they didn't, to curb their hunger, that probably would work though. Native Peruvians, they chewed it as part of religious ceremonies, but then that was broken when Spanish soldiers came, and they basically enslaved them in 1532, enslaved the Peruvians to work in the silver mines, and they gave them the coca leaves to make it easier so they work harder.
Yeah.
And get them addicted, and they'd exploit them. You see it all the time with
Yeah.
slavery. Like you get them addicted to something, you get them under your thumb.
Yeah, like what apparently the white people did to the Indians with alcohol.
Yes.
Fucking white people.
Yeah, firewater. It's terrible. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good comparison there.
Oh, is that Freud?
Yeah, that's Sigmund Freud there. So yeah, it was first isolated
Yeah, he
from
was a big-
cocoa
he
leaves.
was a big cokehead.
Oh yeah. So in 1859, German chemist Albert Niemann isolated it, but not until the 1880s it got popularized in the medical community. So Sigmund Freud, who was Austrian, he's a psychoanalyst, he used it himself, and he broadly promoted that thing to cure depression and sexual impotence.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
When you say isolate, what exactly are you talking about? Just breaking it down and seeing that one chemical?
Yeah, so kind of like when we were watching Drugs Inc. about
Yeah.
cocaine. So like when they grow the plant, they were saying that the plant leaves are only worth like $3 a kilo.
Yeah.
But then when they purify it and bring it to America, it's like $10,000 a kilo or more.
So when he's
So, like they're
isolating
basically
it, he's
purifying
finding
it and also isolating like the chemical
The
compound.
exact
that's
chemical compound.
What's
Okay,
causing,
gotcha.
when they chew the leaf, it's, very mild.
So the
Yeah.
cocoa leaves themselves would not be a drug.
I mean, now I guess they're considered art because if you get enough of them, but it's kind of like, what we were talking about with poppies.
Poppy.
Like if you grow up, it's
You
going
can
to take
grow
a lot of
poppy,
poppies.
yeah.
It's going to take a lot of coca
Yeah.
leaves to get high.
Well, I got a lot of acres back there.
You got some acreage, man. You can fit them in.
We're gonna put some
dogs
astroturf
start
back
chewing
there
'em.
instead, though.
You just put down hemp, man. It'd be perfect.
What am I doing?
So he had published an article called Uber Coca, which is about Coke in 1884. He talked about the benefits. He said it was a magical substance. He was not an objective observer, which means like he was
doing it,
partial.
yeah.
He was not impartial. He was using it and giving it to all his friends, his girlfriends, to tell them to use it all the time. He said,
This stuff is great.
yeah, it's great. He's like, man, use it in his, medical practice. People might not have known that. He said he did have he tried to say that it didn't cause a lot of people problems, but he did have a friend who had paranoid hallucinations where she said white snakes were crawling all over her body or his body.
Well, were they?
I mean, according to that person, they were. That's what a hallucination is called, John. Although he wasn't there, so maybe there was. Maybe that's where the band Whitesnake got their name.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I just made that up. Don't
was
take
a
that to the
good-
bank. But it seems like
That was a very
Yeah.
good stab there at that origin.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be. But any big Whitesnake fans, you feel free to hit us up on social media and let us know if we're right or wrong, because we're just speculating here. He thought the toxic dose was so high that there is no lethal dose. But contrary to that belief, a lot of his patients died. So, he gets, everyone thinks Freud is just great, didn't do anything wrong, but,
kind of a nutcase.
Skeletons, right? So here you go, your question about Coca-Cola.
Yes.
So, yeah, from the...
they just replaced cocaine with sugar, I guess, now.
Different drug.
Which is
same
just as
effect.
addictive.
Cocaine plus caffeine.
It's probably more addictive.
Cocaine instead of sugar and caffeine.
Do you think sugar will ever become a drug? I
don't think so. Because the sugar barons, man, down in Florida.
Because it kills a lot of people, man.
Oh,
diabetes.
Man, it's probably the biggest
obesity
killer in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from 1850s to 1900s, there was lots of different magical elixirs that would have cocaine along with opium and different things, so medical tonics, and they were called magic potions and shit like that, really. And they would put it in wine, and everyone would have it, and they said those are miraculous, even Thomas Edison, Sarah Bernhardt, who was an
is that the
actress.
Oh, okay. No, I thought that was a woman that flew that plane for the first time.
That's Amelia
Earhart.
Earhart.
Oh shit!
But I could see the similarities in that last name.
Let's see. You always think about famous people doing cocaine.
Yeah.
Even before the talkies, the silent films, people were doing cocaine. Even those actors were addicted to cocaine.
Yeah.
It was influencing a bunch of people because it was a pro message, cocaine's good. Your famous people take it. And then 1886, the drug got a boost in popularity from John Pemberton, who included cocoa leaves as an ingredient in his new soft drink, Coca-Cola. And euphoric and energizing effects helped skyrocket the popularity of Coca-Cola.
Do you think it made him high, though?
It wasn't a lot in there, apparently.
Or just kind of boost him up?
It helped. Look at the ad. It relieves fatigue and is indispensable for men and ladies.
I honestly want to go out.
Thirsty and weary and despondent.
Nice. Delightful, palatable, and helpful.
So I want to go out on a limb here and say that this Coke right here, this Coca-Cola, is more healthier than the Coca-Cola we have now.
It probably also had sugar, though.
Oh, did it have sugar? Oh, okay.
Even though, it didn't have high fructose corn syrup, so maybe it was. I mean, it's similar. They just use that high fructose corn syrup because it's so much sweeter. It's cheaper for them.
Yeah.
It increased in society until gradually they started figuring out that it was dangerous. And by 1903, Coca-Cola had to remove cocaine from their soft drink.
Womp, womp, womp.
Everybody's trying to get down on
I wonder if people still put some of their Coke in their Coca-Cola. I want to try that.
It's only, it's only, what, $1,000 an ounce? Yeah. I'll just put some in my Coke. Coke in my Coke. Gosh, maybe if you're rich, maybe it seems like something Post Malone or one of those crazy guys. I mean, if you're gonna get a face tattoo, then shit, when you put cocaine in your Coca-Cola.
The original recipe.
So this ad right here is very kind of infamous online. You've probably seen it before.
I've never seen it.
I'll post a picture of it on all our social and on the website. So it says, cocaine toothache drops, instantaneous cure, price 15 cents, prepared by the Lloyd Manufacturing Company, and that's from Albany, New York, for sale by all druggists, registered March 1885. So the origin of this is kind of hard to trace down because it's one of those things that's gets passed down, shared. There's no, they can't, link it back, but they can't tell if it was an ad or if it was a label on the tin of it or whatever it was. But Charles E. Lloyd was a druggist from Albany. So a druggist was before they were pharmacists, they would, the druggist. People still come in my pharmacy and be like, is the druggist in?
The druggist. He pulls out a wad of rolled up hundos.
That'd be awesome. So it worked really well. It was often, at the time, was used a lot of times for as a local anesthetic, which just means a painkiller in one spot, instead of a painkiller for the whole body. But look at that. There's two little kids.
So it would also if you applied it topically, it would have a numbing effect?
Yeah, it does. And actually we'll get to what we kind of use it for even now here in a second. But I did mention earlier a little bit kind of the history of it, the coca wine. So there was cocaine in wine. And so it became the most famous brand is Vin Mariani in 1863. It was French chemist and entrepreneur Angelo Mariani combining cocaine with alcohol, they found out, it's not so great. And so the Harrison Narcotics Act of 1914 kind of ended all the cocaine and everything.
Because that's an upper and a downer, right? It's like...
Well, yeah.
The combination of the two.
Yeah.
Because alcohol is a depressant, and then,
Yeah, and that can get...
well, if you have an upper and a downer, it seems like you just be even. It seems like pretty good to me.
You can continue to abuse each
I
other
don't know.
without the side
You
effects.
tell us. You are the one that's done both.
Well, that's why they're so dangerous. You think you can do as much of each of them as you want.
Because you're
and you end
even
up like,
yourself out.
Belushi. That's the thing.
Yeah.
In 1920, they had an 18th Amendment that made actual coca wine illegal because there were different things where they tried to they actually took it where they couldn't put cocaine in it, but then they were like, oh, the coca leaf is not cocaine, it's like what we derive cocaine from. So it was kind of a scuttlebutt about exactly what was legal and illegal, and then they eventually knocked it out completely. I always wonder what that shit might taste like.
Yeah,
must be some good stuff, man. That woman on the ad looks happy.
She looks very happy.
Yeah. And then it looks like her ghost is coming out of her skin. You see that?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice that.
What that is. There's this ad, we'll put that up here too. And it looks just like all these French, maybe if you go to somewhere that's like sells French or Italian food, has a lot of wine, the painted with the color with, the woman, and her dress is waving in the wind.
And it's an advertisement for like Campari or whatever.
Something.
Yeah.
This one is like that. She's pouring her wine, but then behind her is like this ghost flying out of her holding the glass up. It's like...
It's her high.
That's the cocaine right there.
Instead of the green fairy, it's the cocaine fairy.
John, you played Red Dead Redemption 2,
Oh,
right?
that is a great game. I've never played... I never played Red Dead 2. But Red Dead 1 was amazing.
Play Red Dead 2? You see that South Park episode?
Yeah, that's made by Rockstar. No, I didn't see that
Rockstar
one.
Games.
Yeah.
It's funny, but anyway. In Red Dead 2, I didn't play Red Dead Redemption 1, but they have, all the ways
play
to
that so bad right now.
get your guy recovered or whatever, or get his little shooting meter, I can't remember what it's called, up. You do all these different patent medicines and stuff. One of them was the cocaine chewing gum, which was real. The main one was Mariana Madrani, was an American one that was late 19th, early 20th, which is when all this stuff was before the FDA really kind of cracked down on it. But
that's a pun.
Yes. Oh, cures indigestion and has a delicious taste. But yeah, basically just people took it, chewed it to get a pep. Kind of like be like chewing tobacco, but
yeah. But
but cocaine. They also had cocaine lozenges and pastilles, which
what's a lozenges?
Like a cough drop.
Cough drop.
Oh,
yeah, and a pastille is like a small candy or a lozenge, so it's kind of redundant. But this is French. But this one is Laboratories Mindy, which began in 1718 and up until when they were acquired by Sanofi, who's huge, massive company. But they made these. They didn't make these up to 1980. They made them for a while, but it was 140 francs. Contained all sorts of shit, including cocaine. They advertised it for like public speakers, singers. It was supposed to remove vocal huskiness or hoarseness. Which is interesting. I'm sure they were just taking it to get a boost before public speaking.
I wonder if it worked. A lot of people that do coke, like they rub their teeth. And you can tell like someone has done a lot of coke if they always do this with their nose, like, kind of snorting always.
They don't want to lose any, right? What
drip.
Is it?
No, but this is after years of doing it. They have that nasal drip. Yeah, but I wonder if that has to do with the, how people rub their teeth.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they've just burned some sensations in their nose or something.
Well, it'll actually make it. It'll numb it. That's probably why it runs, I think.
Yeah. Because my art teacher in high school.
It'd be weird. You put it on your gums, it'll make them numb. Maybe I always thought maybe that's a way that they think your art teacher.
Yeah. They used to do coke all the time.
Sweet. So then there were also, so we talked about earlier CBD, how they put it in everything that it's a good advertisement. Like you put CBD in there, people are going to buy it, even if it doesn't do anything.
Right.
Well, people started doing that at the time with cocaine.
Oh.
Yeah. But they spelled it different. Cocoane.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
So look at that. The best hairdressing, cocoane, says kills dandruff, promotes growth of hair, cures scald head and all irritation of the scalp. Yeah, so I think it was supposed to be all for like stuff on your hair. Well, it wasn't cocaine. It was just cocoa, like from coconut oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, And so they just did it. A lot of companies would put non-cocaine containing products with similar sounding names to sell their wares. So Burnett's extracts cocoane.
Oh, so cocoane is just like coconut.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
It's crazy
actually
that like
quite
they
genius.
thought that, yeah. It's like putting like we said, putting blockchain
Yeah.
in the name.
I like
get you
that.
more
Yep.
sales. Does cocaine work as medicine? So yes, it's actually a Schedule 2 controlled substance. And I'm about to go through what all the schedules mean because this is important.
Okay.
It's Schedule 2. It's very effective as a local anesthetic and it blocks nerve impulses by blocking norepinephrine uptake. It causes vasoconstriction, which means like your veins and arteries will close up, and especially on the surface, and you won't bleed, and it makes it, so it doesn't hurt, anesthesia. And so a lot of times they'll use it for like say nose surgeries and things like that. I mean, imagine if you had to work in the nose. Well, if it's going to stop the bleeding and take away the pain, it's perfect up there.
So is it a common use, or is it like an alternative where some doctors might use it, or is it like this is the go-to?
The only time I've ever actually seen it when I was on rotation at a free clinic, which was really strange. And they did a nose surgery and they had to get the cocaine for it. I don't know if I think it was an old doctor, because of that one, it's all people there volunteering. So I don't know. I mean, it's still available to use. And actually my first hospital job, they had it in the safe and I was like, what the hell is cocaine doing here? And they're like, oh yeah, sometimes they use it. It comes in 1%, 4%, or 10%, but typically you can't get the 10% anymore because it's so strong. It can be toxic, yeah. So here are the controlled substances. So a Schedule 1 narcotic, they have no accepted medical use by the DEA.
Okay.
And what's crazy is cannabis is a Schedule 1, but cocaine is a Schedule 2.
And CBD's not on that list?
CBD
It's not a
is
drug.
not controlled.
Okay, gotcha.
Anymore. For instance, heroin, LSD, marijuana, peyote, methaqualone, that's Quaaludes.
Like in Wolf of Wall
And
Street.
ecstasy, yeah. I know. Yeah, they moved it from it was a lower tier and they moved it up. And then Schedule 2 would be they have high potential for abuse, but they have medical uses that are approved.
So like Adderall would be on there?
Adderall
too?
is on there, Dilaudid, morphine,
Oxycodone,
methadone, Demerol, Oxycontin, fentanyl. All that stuff is lower than cannabis. Isn't that crazy?
Do they just, I know this is off topic, but
Adderall and
do they prescribe
methamphetamine.
carfentanil?
No, it's too strong. You can't mess with that.
You know what's interesting though about the comment on marijuana is that it now is used in medical cases for like pain management and things like that. So I think it's interesting that it's still not. It hasn't been moved from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 2.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And I was watching a documentary on Netflix about it, and they were saying the government holds a patent for marijuana to treat something, and yet they still keep it a Schedule 1, which is very suspicious. Like they stand to make money off of it actually working for something. But now the CBD, actually, they just came out with a drug we talked about last week on the episode, if you listen to it. Epidiolex, whatever, how you pronounce it. It's just CBD. It's like $34,000 a year just for epilepsy, and that's all it treats.
Yeah. I don't see how they can prescribe marijuana to people if it's a Schedule 1.
Well,
That's weird.
If it has no
right?
medical
Right.
benefit.
So,
But it
this is
does.
federally.
But it does have
and
a
there's
medical
different
benefit.
states.
Okay.
That's
gotcha.
why you watch these
Yeah.
these Drugs Inc. and things like that. The people who sell all the marijuana, whether it be medical or recreational, they can't use like federal banks and shit like that. They have to have cash. It's crazy because federally it's still not legal.
So is marijuana then a Schedule 2 in some states by states, or
That's a good question. I would imagine that it is controlled, but I don't know if it falls on the DEA list because that's a federal organization.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's very much in a
That
gray
is
area
really
right now.
weird. Yeah.
It's very weird. And then so you move down, you got Schedule 3, 4, and 5. You kind of lump them all together. They just are supposed to have less potential for abuse as you go down.
Oh.
So like Tylenol with codeine would be a Schedule 3, along with depot testosterone.
Sipping on some scissor.
Ketamine.
Is that a scissor?
Yeah. Well,
Codeine?
so the scissor is that's a good question. So that is the promethazine with codeine. That's Phenergan. So it's like, they like a specific one though. It's the Activist brand. It's like the one in the orange bottle. And it's grape flavored, I'm pretty sure. And they mix it
Purple
with
drink.
Purple drink.
Yeah.
That's purple drink. That's the scissor, baby.
See, Ativan. I used to take that.
That stuff we have to keep it in the safe next to like the fentanyl
Yeah.
and OxyContin and stuff. No, the scissor.
Oh, scissor.
It has to go in there. Yeah, yeah. By 1905. No, you're good. So that's when it started, like the crystal, not crystal, the powdered cocaine became popular to start to snort. And then that's when people were getting like nasal damage and also other kind of health problems from it. And so by 1912, there was over 5,000 cocaine-related deaths. And so 1922, the drug was officially banned from medical use.
I mean, we have way more than that with the
Other
alcohol
than
deaths.
Part 2. Oh, being a Schedule 2. Yeah, so modern abuse. So in the 70s then, popularity picked up big time for entertainers, business people, everyone. Like it was the perfect companion for a trip in the fast lane, energy, and helps you stay awake. Students at universities, like colleges and stuff, who used it increased tenfold between 1970 and 1980. That's like the golden age of everybody. 70s and 80s, everybody was on cocaine.
Like Huey Lewis in the News.
And so they set up. Well, yeah, we'll go to one of the more famous, people who use it. Yeah, so that's when these like. You hear about the Colombian cocaine and from South America, that they made this web of how to get it into America. Mm-hmm. And so that's when that sort of started to develop, because like America's hunger for cocaine just grew like crazy. They called it's like a rich man's drug because it was so expensive though, but it's sort of getting cheaper because you could get lower quality stuff. And that's where you see like the crack cocaine. Yeah. And it started increasing, in the crime 90s, and it would get in the streets. People would be,
the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
And
like don't do crack
and stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You remember all the, was the McGruff, the crime? What was his name?
Oh yeah, Scruff McGruff.
Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652.
Oh,
I'll never forget that.
That was Dare, right? Yeah. Dare to keep kids off drugs. They said that shit backfired because like you'd have the guy coming in, he'd be like, "I'm the Dare agent," and be like, "You want to see what cocaine looks like? Check this out." And they'd be like, "I didn't know that's what crack looked like." Like they educated people about drugs, so then they were like, "Oh, now we know."
This is what I want to do. Yeah,
it makes you feel good.
Oh, they're like, how does it feel? How does it feel? Feels fantastic.
We all know you can go down South Block and take a right and find someone in a yellow poncho.
That's it. That's the best. So by the early 90s, Colombian cartels had exported about 800 tons of cocaine per year to the U.S. and Europe and Asia.
Wow.
The large cartels started to get dismantled, but they were replaced by just a lot of small groups. So they said today there's 300 active smuggling organizations.
Wow.
Like Colombia and the rest of, South America and all that, Central America. As of 2008, it had become the second most trafficked illegal drug. Today, it is number one. It's basically tied with meth. Yeah, as number one.
And meth is a lot cheaper to make.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, okay, one interesting little thing here. The Rolling Stones were very famous cocaine addicts, but they were snobs. So there was this stuff called Merck cocaine. And it was made by the drug company Merck, as a prescription.
It's a pharmaceutical company, right?
So it is pure. And look at the label. It says small fluffy crystals. Warning, may become habit forming. So they said their 1975 tour, the Rolling Stones, was fueled by Merck cocaine, and they would build like little compartments into like all their equipment and hide the cocaine. So they'd be like jamming, playing the guitar, and then they'd sneak over. And do a line and then keep on going.
Wow.
I said that the other day. I was playing what song was that I was playing? And I was like, man, this song, they had to write this on drugs. It's just so good. I can't remember what song it was.
So Keith Richards had to let his supplier describe the drug because he said like it messed up his memory so bad. He said, and this is a quote from him, pharmaceutical cocaine cannot be compared in any way to cocaine produced in Central or South America. It is pure, does not bring on depression or lethargy. A totally different type of euphoria, one of creativity, exists immediately when it is absorbed by the central nervous system. There are absolutely no withdrawal symptoms.
Wow, that sounds some good shit.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's true. But like it probably wasn't.
His drug
it probably was better. It probably was better though because it was so pure. Like it didn't have so much extra crap in it that would cause problems. But still, I mean, it is
like
cocaine.
People that are
it's going to cause you the problems.
Yeah,
that is. And that's where you get dangerous when things are illegal because you don't know what's in it.
And now they're putting the fentanyl in there and cutting it with that.
One thing I don't understand why. Like, who is doing that and why? Like, why would you
It's
put that in
because
there? You're going to kill your...
No, the drug deal, because I watch a lot of Drugs Inc. The addicts on the street, they're always chasing more and more of a high, like a better high. So if someone, a drug dealer, puts fentanyl or carfentanil in their Coke and kills an addict on the street, he would get more business. More addicts will come to him. Yeah, exactly. Because
so instead of growing your business, like if you kill someone, they want it.
Actually increases their business
because it's the
strong.
Yeah, it adds more of a high. I guess.
Crazy. It's crazy. God. Yeah. If you watch a lot of Drugs Inc., you'll see that. I mean, fentanyl right now is like huge.
So crazy.
And now the carfentanil is getting in there too. God. It's nuts, man.
Yeah, but yeah, with cocaine, I mean, gosh, it's had an interesting history. You know, from using it for kids. You know, toothache drops to it being, you know, a Schedule II drug, cocoa
to
wine.
Fueling the Rolling Stones world tour. You know,
as far as music goes, it's interesting, and I doubt it's because of Coke. But if you look at Rolling Stones and all these people coming out from the hippie age, and then you go into like the heroin use,
that is interesting,
and you see like Nirvana age, that kind of grunge.
So like grunge was heroin, rock was cocaine, like the hippie music
like
was the 70s was weed.
Exactly.
What is Alice in Chains on meth?
Heroin.
So. Oh,
they're on heroin.
Okay, heroin.
Yeah. And so you can definitely tell the difference. You know,
that's interesting. Yeah.
If y'all really enjoyed this episode, if it really quacked you up, and you want to support the crew, please head over to quackerypodcast.com/join to become an official Quackhead.